Truckers are the heartbeat of America.
Now, it's time for those four crazy truckers to deliver you an hour of news, interviews, and entertainment for your listening pleasure. It's the Independent Truckers, right here at the Truckers Independent Broadcasting Network, with your hosts, Tracy Strong, Sean Mitchell, Lisa Schrock, and John Groven.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Independent Truckers right here at the Truckers Independent Broadcasting Network. Today we have with us as a return visitor, Dr. Raul Garcia. How you doing today, sir?
Doing well. Thank you for having me on again.
Thank you for coming. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Sean, Ellie, how you two doing?
Doing fine.
Yep, doing fun.
These guys sound so excited.
I'm
It's hot.
ecstatic. I love to be here.
One's hot, one's tired. What can I say? It's life for us. Well, this is the working class. You know, when we got to work for a living, we all just kind of like skating through, trying to stay awake and stay cool. So Sean, we'll be taking this, opening up with right now. What do you got anything on your mind, or are we getting right into stuff?
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, the FMCSA did put 4 more ELDs out on the back burner again. They're now on the do not use list. Unfortunately, I didn't get all those today because I was too busy dealing with air conditioning problems. So, but you might want to check the FMCSA's registry for which ELD has now been considered non-useful.
So they mandate you have to use the darn things, and they keep taking them away. So everybody that buys into them now can't use those, so they got to go buy new ones and recontract and lose a lot more money.
So there was a little bit of an unrest over in Philadelphia yesterday. Your thoughts on that, Doc?
So repeat that again. I'm sorry.
I said there was a little bit of mishap over in Philadelphia yesterday. Your thoughts on that?
Well, you know what? I have to claim innocence on that. I've been on the campaign trail. So what exactly are you referring to?
They decided to deface the Liberty Bell.
Palestine protesters in support of Hamas decided to vandalize the Liberty Bell and surrounding areas, extracted the American flag from the high pole above, and raised their own Palestinian flag in place of the U.S. flag.
You know,
Don't forget they burned it.
Yeah, they did.
When are we going to wake up as Americans and stop accepting things that are infringing upon our lives and our families? When are we going to have the respect and honor for our families, for our heritage, for our country, and to allow all this criminal activity to happen that defaces who we are? And the world looks at that and it's in shock of that we're not doing anything about it.
Well, do you think that Sean and I was having a conversation about this earlier today? Do you think that maybe the police don't go in there and try to break it up because when they make their presence known, it turns from what they're doing, vandalizing, into a riot, and they're afraid they're going to exacerbate the situation, so they kind of hold back and wait for the feds to do their investigation. They'll start doing facial recognition, and over time, they'll start making arrests and addressing the issue that way.
Well, perhaps, but don't we have that example where there was a shooter at a school? Police waited and waited and listen. How long are we going to, as I said, accept those things that are infringing upon our daily lives and be okay with it? We have to set an example, and we have to take drastic. And what we do, people won't not do this kind of criminal activity anymore. It's going to happen over and over and over again. And push it, keep pushing the envelope we are.
So it's really breaking up pretty bad. Well, I think it might be resetting itself. There he goes. I had a feeling that was going to happen. Well, darn it. Hopefully he'll be back in here soon. I I think he's got a point. And there's a point I was talking about last night with the guys on the other show is, John, do you think we've gotten kind of soft as a nation? Do you think that we're just too soft anymore? I mean, if you go back 200 years ago, what would they have done to those people?
I go back to when the 70s and 80s would have been done, and back then it wouldn't have happened. Anymore, it seems like you brought up, it's easier to let them deface the property. They clean it up later, and now they've got cameras so they can go on a search and destroy mission, and they might catch a few of them.
That's what they did in the 2020 issues, and that's what they did with the J6ers, and I expect that's what the FBI will do in this case.
I had just actually spoke to somebody today on one of the lives on TikTok when I got off work this morning. She said that she was pro-Palestine, and she said it was free speech to burn the flag, vandalize the bill, etc., etc. And I told her, I'm like, well, this is just as bad as January 6th, maybe even worse, you know? And I asked her, I'm like, you know, Democrats always bring up January 6th. So in your logic, that was free speech as well. And she backed off of what she was like for what she stood for.
Right.
Completely
Freedom of
just threw her
speech.
off her trails.
Freedom of speech stops when you start vandalizing, committing crimes and stuff like that, or you infringe upon other people's rights. You're no longer protesting; you're violating other people's rights, or you're committing crimes. That's not freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was telling her.
The Supreme Court did rule at one time. I think burning the U.S. flag did fall under the purview of freedom of speech. It violates the flag code and it's illegal, but yet they ruled it as freedom of speech. So, Dr. Garcia, what you're coming out of the state of Washington, and you're running for U.S. Senate. What do you think? What's the most concerning matters in the United States of America today? What do you think is very important and needs to be addressed?
Well, I just walked 185 miles from Eastern Washington to Western Washington to elevate the awareness of the crisis of fentanyl that we have in our country, where we're losing a human being every 4 minutes and 45 seconds, and 300 people a day are dying. If you had a plane that crashed with 300 people for 3 consecutive days, I think the federal government would step in and ground aviation. So for me, this great crisis that we have in our streets, we are not paying enough attention to. So whether you believe it or not, I truly walked 185 miles, finished a few days ago, to meet people along the way that had problems with fentanyl. A lot of people joined us along the way. I think that everybody together now, we have over 1 million steps walked in those 10 days that I walked from Eastern Washington to Western Washington. So we are making this fentanyl crisis a priority, because it's something that doesn't discriminate whether you're a Democrat or a Republican or rich or poor. You have people in every room that I have been that know of someone that has died of fentanyl or their own family member has died of fentanyl. And I think it's a crisis that we are not bringing true solutions to yet. So I have offered that as your next United States Senator, I will bring the Americans Against Fentanyl Act that will give felony charges to drug dealers and put them in prison, and involuntary mandatory rehabilitation for addicts.
Can you do mandatory? I mean, is that feasible? Would that be?
It's feasible for me as a physician, because I could explain to you medically that your brain is telling you to lie, cheat, and steal to get your next fix, or you're going to die. And these addicts will always lie, cheat, and steal to do that. And the ones that have succeeded, the ones that have gone through rehab, the ones that have come back to our communities have always said, thank you for making that decision when I couldn't make it for myself. These are individuals that their brain are not working in the same wavelength as we are. And these are individuals that are handicapped by this addiction, and you have to make that decision for themselves. And when you don't and you keep it voluntary, uh, you eliminate the chance of success. In 2001, Portugal, as a scientist, I'm going to look for the data, right? In 2001, Portugal had a drug epidemic. It was heroin, and it affected every family. And the government came in and said, we have to take drastic measures. And those drastic measures have to be dealers in prison and mandatory rehab. And they cleaned their streets. So, according to results, we have an example of a country that did it and did it successfully. And at least we are going to try our best here to do that.
I see what you're saying. So basically, if somebody has a psychological issue, may become a danger to themselves, they can be forcibly admitted into a psych ward for observation and such like that. So in this case, because they're not capable of handling their addiction and they become a danger to themselves or others, then it would be medically mandatory. You could actually reasonably make a law in that regard. Also, if they commit a crime and they go to court and this is the issue, it would be like in the old days when a judge said, well, you know what, you can't get your act together. You choose to go to Vietnam War or you're going to prison.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess I can see your point in that. I was kind of wondering at first, but now that you make that assessment, then it does make sense. So, how is it in Washington? I mean, I know in Western or Eastern, I always reverse it because I'm on the East Coast, so I think of West as inland. And by Eastern Washington, you've got a lot of rural folks, and you got a lot of folks that like their gun rights. They really, they adhere to that. In fact, you guys have been dealing with what they call the Greater Idaho Expansion. I think a lot of folks on the east side of Washington would like to secede into the state of Idaho to preserve their rights. Where are you at on that? So not a secession, but on gun rights and preserving people's right to keep and bear arms.
Well, I came from Cuba, a country that disallowed gun rights. And because of that, there is a dictatorship ideology there for 65 years that has not been able to be overthrown. I think the Second Amendment was created exactly for that reason, so the people of the United States could defend themselves against a tyrannical government. So I will always defend the Second Amendment. And I'm fair. Do I think that there's a lot of gun crime out there in the streets? Of course there is. But if you look at it, again, from the scientific perspective, 88.8% of the gun crime in our streets are with illegal weapons. So why are we not enforcing the law to get those illegal weapons out of our streets? And to tell you the truth, as a physician, if you're going into a store and killing people, there's something wrong with you. All right? There's something mentally wrong with you. And we failed at letting you have that gun. So I do think that there needs to be obstacles for people with mental health to be allowed to have weapons. But we need to look at what we have in front of us. And when 88.8% of gun crime is done with illegal weapons, it is a big place to start from. Once we do that, yes, we could sit at the table all day and to make sure that we come up with a solution that makes our children at our schools be as safe as the TSA at the airport. We could sit and discuss all ideologies and all ideas that come in with data and see what would be most effective. But we first have to take the low-hanging fruit of 88.8 of the crime is with illegal weapons, enforce our laws, and make sure that we take care of our mental health individuals so they don't have access to
it. Yeah, kind of makes sense. So, do you feel like the drug like these are associated with the heavy use of drugs in our country these days? That a lot of crime is associated. I understand that the three worst crimes in the United States are illegal drug trafficking, illegal guns trafficking, and then human trafficking. Pretty much that order. So do you think it's because of the crimes, the gang activity, and then of course people who do drugs get addicted to drugs become
Right.
obligated to defend or work with their providers because they can't afford their habits?
Right. Right. I mean, you're going to lie, cheat, and steal to get that next fix because you feel you're going to die if you don't. So, a lot of our crime in our streets are because of drugs. If you ask the city of Seattle, someone the other day said that 98% of crime over the last month was because of drugs. You know, I work as an emergency physician, and I could tell you that we see 2 to 5 overdoses every single shift that I work. You know, it is a big deal, and drugs will lead to mental health. So when we talk about the homeless problem in our country and addiction and mental health, the solution has to be a triple play solution, right? That takes care of rehabilitation from drugs, takes care of mental health, and then let's talk housing. But this housing first model that we have failing here in Washington for so many years, it's not the answer. And harm reduction, another failing program that has enabled the drug crisis to become bigger, is not the answer as well. Now, do I believe that we should have Narcan in the streets? Yes, I do, because it saves lives. And not only that, but innocent lives, like kids that are exposed to these opioids, for example. We need those drugs in the street to be able to save their lives. But that's as far as I go on that harm reduction. I feel that we don't have a culmination of it, and all we're doing is enabling the program to get bigger. And we have spent $430 billion over the last 10 years in this country in this subject, and only 6% of it is to prevention.
Mm. So it sounds like you got solutions. You don't want to just go to DC and just be occupy a chair somewhere. You got something behind you, something more substantial.
Well, I think that is what we need out of our public servants. A lot of
Yeah.
politicians sit here and tell you how things are bad. Vote for me. Well, what are you going to do? Why should I vote for you? What is your idea? What are you bringing to the game? And if you're not bringing anything to the game, then you're not a viable candidate. Let's bring about a government of solutions. And I think that it will be a breath of fresh air to see someone that goes in because they want things to change and they have solutions and they have ideas. I think that should be everyone that goes to Congress, but unfortunately, it is a breath of fresh air to find a candidate that actually believes that way. Well, that's the only reason why I'm here. My story of Mr. Smith goes to Washington. You know, I don't like in our streets for my family, and that's why I'm doing this. And I'm going to change it, and I'm going to fight whoever I have to fight to represent the people of Washington, because I'm not worried that 6 years from now I have to get reelected. I think 6 years from now, it's a long time. World War II was 4 years, and we changed the world. So we could change a lot in 6 years. So let's go do it. And I think our founding fathers created Congress to have a bus driver and a carpenter and a teacher and a doctor go to Congress for a little while, bring their ideology, and then come back to their profession. Now we're wired to respect these career politicians that have been there for 20 years. Why? That's not how I believe our founding fathers wanted our country to be run.
I agree. I agree on that. Since you brought that up, how will you deal with incumbents that have been there for so long, and they do more politic than they do problem solving? How will you try to get around that? I mean, do you think you can take a leadership position with them, or be influential in some way?
Well, first of all, I'm a complete proponent of term limits. I think that we need no stagnation. I think we need to keep flowing with fresh leadership. And I think that we need accountability. A lot of people go to Congress and, you know, are just present.
Yeah,
Some of them in Washington State. um, let's have accountability. Let's go out and have a report card of what you do, so that people see what exactly you do and how you represent them.
Reminds me of Kat Kamek. She kind of does that. She does live videos and stuff and interacts with her constituents pretty well. I kind of like how she does that. It's pretty nice. Um, what was I going to follow up? Have you followed this deal with the Secret Service?
Well, it is unbelievable to me the ineptitude and the lack of responsibility for something so vitally important. I mean, when I saw that, I said, everybody gets fired. Everybody. Everybody gets fired. I mean, this is something to play around with. This is something of vital importance. This is a president of the United States that you need to protect. And the lackadaisical approach of what we did is to me unbelievable. As I said, I thought everybody.
So you saw complacency there.
Oh
People
yeah,
just kind of got kind of like they were so used to doing the job they forgot why they were there, so they stopped paying attention to details.
but don't you think that that is a culture, the culture that we have come up to? When I came to this country, the pride, the love that I had for the United States of America, even before setting foot on it, because the U.S. was a place that people were proud of who we were, that worked hard for us to be the greatest country in the world, and they did it at every profession with pride.
Mm-hmm.
Have we come to a point in our culture that people are now just complacent in their jobs, including U.S. senators, and they're doing this for So, no, let's go back to that pride as Americans. Let's go back to the Secret Service man that would die 7 times to protect who they needed to protect. Let's go back to the U.S. senator like myself that I have promised that I'll go through a wall for you. Thank you. My change from being a doctor to a politician, the goal has not changed. What has changed is the venue. I am still going to provide the service that I provided for 26 years as a doctor, now only to a town and a city and a county and a state. And I have the responsibility to be accountable to that, to wake up every morning on time and be there on time like a job, and work hard day and night to make sure that our state in Washington succeeds and our country succeeds.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. I felt like to me, you probably came in the country about 10 years after JFK. I was born probably about 5 years or so after JFK. You know, we went from this ask not for what you can do, ask not what for your country can do you, but ask for what you can do for your country mentality, right? It was like we all own this country. It was a part of us. It was our lifeblood, and we felt like we had investment in this country, and we wanted to protect that investment. And that's what people did. They went to work for the betterment, not just for to enrich their lives, but the enrichment of the country within itself. And nowadays it's a self-serving society where people nowadays it's what's in it for me. They don't care about the country. They don't care about the employer. They just want to know how big of a paycheck can they get and how little work can they do for it. And it kind of like, I find it concerning. I'm not saying young people today won't work hard. I mean, we got somebody here that's busting their butt working hard every day. I'm just saying there's a lot of mentality with people that they somehow to me it changed. I don't know if you recognize it or not. I don't remember your time frame when you came in the country, but right around the 1980s, these people started developing this bigger than life attitude and this corporate attitude about, you know, I'm larger than life and I can do better than this, you know, and they lost their sense of being humble. Do you think that's about what it is?
Well, I think so. And of course, we are pushing an agenda, in my view, where the government wants you to own nothing and depend on the government.
That's a lead into socialism, isn't it?
Of course, and that's why I'm here. I mean, I lived it in Cuba. My grandfather's farm was taken from him by the government. My mother's license to teach was taken from her because she wouldn't join the Communist Party. It's you're with us, so we're going to cancel you, and you will own nothing, and you will depend on the government. And they're trying to build a culture of people that want to live off the government, that don't want to work hard, and that we have to end as Americans. We
So
have to go back.
basically, you're saying it's more than what I described. It's actually being government instituted.
Oh, absolutely. I think so.
Yeah, I see that too. Especially since COVID, a lot of that has happened. How do you feel about they're talking about eating your bugs, you know? And I looked into this. I'm going crickets. How are they going to feed us crickets? I mean, who's going to eat a plate full of crickets, right? I mean, I'm not going to sit with chopsticks and eat crickets with soy sauce. So what's going on here? And what I found is they got cricket farms. They dehydrate them. They grind them down like a mill and mix them into flours and stuff. So people eating sports foods, you know, energy foods and stuff like that may actually have crickets in it, or bread alone may have crickets in it. How do as going into the U.S. Senate or vying for a seat in the Senate? How do you feel about that? Do you feel like that's a terrible way of undermining society, or do you think that maybe the protein values are beneficial to people in society? Or
Yeah, I listen. They sell crickets here at our baseball games in Seattle. Fried crickets.
oh, so you're way ahead of us.
So I really have not taken a dive into the protein value of crickets. It's not my thing. It's not my cup of tea. But I'll look into it now that you say that. It's just.
I believe the actual technical term is a sheta, ACHETA. For
Okay.
crickets, I think so. Names, I mean, you actually got to look because they do have other names for different types of insects and stuff. And I think that family. So, it's I find myself now when I'm looking at in the grocery store with my wife, I turn it over and look for sheda and the ingredients. I'm thinking I don't want to be tricked into eating this stuff. I don't know how I feel about this. It probably
Well,
wouldn't kill us,
I'm
but
always gonna be on the side of the consumer, right? I'm always gonna be on the side of the consumer's rights. I'm always going to be on the side of the citizens' rights. I'm always going to defend your right to be a citizen of this country and to be individual and to make your own decisions. I think that the government is here to educate and provide resources and let you make the best decision for yourself and your family.
absolutely. Now, a lot of times you hear arguments about slavery, especially in history, but I got this kind of theory. I think we've talked to you about electronic logging devices in the past, but I have this theory about how things are being legally instituted in the United States. And like say the electronic logging device is a good example of this. So they force us by law to buy an electronic logging device to keep us adherent to an hours of service rule, which is broken by the way. And they admit that, or they used to. And they they use the data off this machine that they force us to purchase to make money and to grow their form of business. So basically, I think the data, because it's my movement, it's my data, it's my information, is my proprietary information or my proprietary data. And so now I'm kind of thinking, is this like a form of slavery? I mean, can it be instituted that we're being forced to buy things that don't necessarily benefit or enhance our lives, but they benefit corporations? And is not that alignment to what slavery actually is, but in a different form?
Well, I think that they are trying to overcapitalize on capitalism. And it's the same thing with your health information. They're
Yeah,
selling
exactly.
They're selling your health information from your Apple Watch or whatever else you have. And somewhere down the line, you sign the dotted line that it's okay for them to sell your health information. So, I think the answer, again, is transparency. I think is education, is for people to know exactly what's going on. Because I don't think that any of us would choose to let all that information out if we knew what was going on. And it's smoke and mirrors, while in the other side of it, they're making money out of it.
Exactly. So they're getting you. Well, at least that's voluntary, right? It's like cell phone. It is voluntary whether I download the app or not. Bring squirrel in here, I think. And at least that part's voluntary. But the federal government mandated that we have to buy a device, and the NHTSA does the same thing. Cars are very, very expensive today, and in fact, it's projected that she dropped out. It's expected that in the future we may not even be able to afford cars because of all the technologies that are going to be required to add to these cars. And basically it forces us to have to use taxi service or Uber services, things like that. So it's a user, you use it as you need it sort of thing, as opposed to owning it. It
Yeah,
seems to
it's
me
the same mentality of the frog in the lukewarm water, right? They heat it up a little bit at a time until you're in hot water and you're burning, but you didn't notice that. Yeah, I think that there is a lot of approaches to that these days. Let me ask you, how much longer do I have with you guys? Because I do have another event here that I needed to set up for, and I'm sorry that I've been running around in the campaign trail and don't want to cut you short, but I
no,
wanted
no.
to make sure
If
that
you
I
got to go
am.
or something, we understand, and we
Yeah,
know
we
you're busy.
understand, Doc. I just had a couple quick questions I wanted to ask you in the medical field
Yeah,
before you leave. So,
yeah.
what's your thoughts on autonomy surgery?
So explain to me what you mean.
Well, they're getting to the point where they use robots to actually do surgery. What's your thoughts on that?
I lost you there for a minute. That they want AI to do
They're
surgery.
actually, yeah, they're actually got AI doing surgery
Right.
now. What's your
Okay.
thoughts on that?
Well, my thought is again, I'm going to stand on the side of the consumer. I'm going to stand on the side of the human being. There's someone else that came over to me and said, "Hey, would you vote for AI to have human rights?" And I said, "Absolutely not. Absolutely not." I watched the Terminator just like you did, and that's tongue in cheek. But um, there are exact places for technology to succeed in surgery. For example, robotic surgery, right? But it's still conducted by a human being. But I am not going to trust my body or let any of my constituents trust their body to artificial intelligence. Because if that artificial intelligence goes rogue, then a life is lost, and I could never be behind that.
Okay. Synthetic drugs.
Synthetic drugs is how we have gotten into the problem that we have now with fentanyl. You know, it goes back to over capitalizing on capitalism, right? People are trying to look for the next thing so they can make the most money. I would like anything that comes into your body to be natural. As a matter of fact, I think that some of the greatest doctors that we had were those that used plants and botany to help you with your diseases. We are now in a place where we're getting too smart for our own good and putting a lot of chemicals into our bodies that we don't need to put. I mean, I'm one of those doctors. I'm one of those doctors that takes an ibuprofen once every 6 months because I don't like to take drugs. So as natural as possible, I'm always going to be on the side of that.
I think a lot of it was when I grew up in my heritage of growing up. We didn't have what was available and readily today, so we made do with what we had. But a lot of our stuff was made out from natural too. A lot of it wasn't made like it is today. Do you think that might be the reason for some of the miscalculations of life these days?
Yeah, I think life was simpler back then, right? I mean, it was more wholesome. And now we have an attack on the senses every day from our phones, from everybody, from our computers, from and our brains are at an excitable level every day. So it's no wonder that more people have high blood pressure and more people have unhealthy states because we are being attacked every day by all these things, all these attacks on our senses when life used to be much simpler. But it's it's the way the society is today.
Well, and I think with a lot of what's going on with computer technology in itself and a lot of social media apps, I mean, let's face facts. If we didn't have social media, we wouldn't be able to be doing this tonight. But I also feel that that might be an extension of what's going on in today's society as well.
Oh, there's people there.
That falls into mental health, by the way.
Absolutely, I think it goes hand in hand.
Okay. So I guess the last question I've got for you, yeah, I'm here. The last question I got for you, Doc, is the FMCSA has went and scheduled marijuana from a class 1 to a class 3 drug. And even though you still technically can't drive a commercial vehicle after you have smoked it for so many days, what's your thoughts on the classification?
You know, I think it's a double-edged sword. Okay, I think that being an emergency physician and seeing both sides of it, I've seen people have a lot of benefit from the components of marijuana, and I've seen a lot of people have horrible side effects from the components of marijuana. And I think it comes into an individual basis, and now you're trying to classify it into, how do I explain this? I think it's more government regulation.
That is the truest statement I've ever heard.
I mean, let people be. The control of the government or the avarice, the desire to control people is out of control in itself.
Well, back in the 90s, believe it or not, there was actually 2 people in the state of Texas allowed to smoke marijuana with a doctor's prescription. It was for their glaucoma. They were starting to get results, starting to get feedback on it, and George Jr. decided to cut the cord on it. My theory is when it comes to using marijuana, if it's under a doctor's prescription for legal cause, I would back that. I don't think they should be behind a commercial motor vehicle doing it, though.
Right. I mean, it makes sense, right? Let health issues be health issues, not government issues, not regulations. So I'm always going to be a proponent of that.
Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to ask you. Urinalysis test versus hair follicle test. Your thoughts? I think we lost him.
Yeah, something's wrong. John, was that him or is that us?
I think that's him.
Yeah. Doctor, I think we're getting a background noise from you. We can't, if you can hear us, we cannot hear you. No, I don't think you can hear us.
No, I can't.
Darn it. I don't know what that's what. Can you hear us okay? Yeah, we lost them all. Sean, you just want to send him a message or something? I'll just go ahead and remove him, I guess. I don't know what to do otherwise. And I can try. I don't know if you'll see what I'm typing here, but yeah, no audio. I can try that. Hang on a second. How about now? Can you hear us okay now? Nope, you can't hear us.
No, he's cracking.
Yeah. I don't know.
Go ahead and drop him,
But-
and
Yeah, he's
let's
just going
see
to
what
leave.
happens. Squirrel
I
said she was ready to come in.
Yeah, she was in and out again. Let's bring her in though. See if we got her. Squirrel, you there? You got to unmute yourself.
I'm here. I have a horrible reception. We're out in western Nebraska, so I apologize, but my reception has been horrible. And these time zones, I have never been through so
Just
many time zones.
put your phone in one hand and stick your hand with your finger up in the air out the window. You know, like in the old days when you had
I need to do
rabbit
that.
ears.
I need to do that because western Nebraska is like a dead zone, absolute dead zone out here.
Nobody thought it was funny but me.
So,
Ellie's
Lisa,
dead tired.
Is Allie alive?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Hey, Allie.
I miss Lisa.
If Edge was in Texas, you can swing by and give her a quick, swift kick in the butt and get her going. She needs a jump start.
Yeah,
So,
give me.
Lisa,
Here, doctor
you're-
came back in, Sean. You want me to bring him back and see if...
yeah, I mean, we can try.
All right, how about now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you now.
Okay.
We didn't get the answer.
I didn't hear your answer, but if you want to try again, Doc, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm always gonna, when legislature comes to my desk, I'm always gonna be on the side of making people's lives easier and less regulated. Okay. So, there are those people in addiction that swear by follicle tests, and then there's others that only use urine tests. And I just want to make your job easier to do your job, man.
Okay.
I like that response. That's what
I
we
think
need
you're
in
now-
trucking. I think other forms of industry are the same way, especially as you know, medical industry is so overregulated. It's incredible. I think you have more administrators in a hospital than you do doctors.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's ridiculous.
Well, and also what I think, Doc, is truthfully, I mean, I think a urinalysis test is much more efficient than hair follicle, for the simple fact I think the results could be quicker.
That is 100%.
I don't like the idea of
Because-
plucking hairs because I got so few of them to pluck.
Well, with a lot of maybe if I'm going to tell out of turns, please tell me, Doc. But usually on that bottle there is a temperature gauge, and that temperature gauge pretty much tells the tape.
It does. Yep.
I went in for one not about 10 years ago, and the girl told me the guy actually had 107 temperature. She didn't even bother sending it in. They automatically flunked him right in the office. She said, I refuse to send this in.
Well,
Because, I
guys,
mean,
He just had a high fever.
yeah, he did.
Yeah, that's what he tried to say. And she said, yeah, well, why don't you come back in about 30 days?
Yeah, 107. I think he'd be dead. So you're getting ready to say, Dr. Garcia?
No, I'm going to have to get to this function, but I didn't want to. I did want to tell you that I appreciate always being here. Anytime that I'll get back, we could talk some more. And I
We'd
think
like
it's
to
time-
bring you on again, Doc.
I'm sorry?
We'd like to bring you on again.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I will come on, and I think that it's going to take all of us to change this to a place where we are proud of it again. And, it starts right here.
Now, you are in Yakima, correct?
Yes.
I get out there every now and then, so maybe if I get some time off, I'll give you a call.
That'll be fantastic. Absolutely.
We can sit down and have a cup of coffee or
Would
dinner.
love that. Would love that. Absolutely.
I got a sister-in-law that lives out near Pacific.
So I think he's got to run, Sean. So we probably
So-
should let him go. And,
Well, yeah,
thank you
that's
for
what I
coming
was
on,
getting-
Doctor.
That's
You were
what I
getting
was
there, huh?
ready to do, John. So,
Okay.
Doc, thanks for coming on, and we appreciate you, and we'll catch you another day.
Thank you. Thank you.
You get so excited.
Well, no, I mean, it was like 15 minutes ago. He said he had to go. I mean, he's very generous
Well,
and
I
very
know.
nice to stay with us. But
All I'm
sorry, man. I
simply
know I
was,
sucked up all the oxygen out of the room. Mine, yes, Chris would say. But
yeah. Well, I think Chris did it to you the other night, did he not?
every once in a while, he gets excited, and you know,
So, Lisa, in 2 weeks, you get to meet the low man.
You
uh
know, you guys are way too political in these debates that with me and Donnie. We are literally running for TikTok president.
No, there was
We're
no
not
political debate.
changing the world.
Whoa. Back up here. Back up. All I
Yes.
simply said was, in 2 weeks, you meet the low man.
Yes, I do. I get to debate Donnie, and I want to debate over like who has the best hair because I'm gonna win that like hands down because he has no hair.
wait a minute. He's got a smoking cool stash, doesn't he?
No, he doesn't. He looks like Mr.
That's
Clean.
that's hair.
So you do
Exactly.
it, yes, but you do have a battle Friday night, do you not?
We do, and I am praying that I have service. We'll be down in Auburn, Kentucky. I think it's Eastern time down there, isn't it, honey? Eastern. So I will be on. I think it's 9 o'clock down there, and we unload at 8. So hopefully we're unloaded away from the building, and I will have amazing service. So I'm hoping for.
So what is your, because in 2 weeks you guys are going to have a battle here, and this may be your only chance without low man. So what is your basic design of winning this trucking industry contest?
I'm just going to tell everyone that Donnie Loman sucks and I rock, and everyone should be Squirrel Squad. And so far, like 5 people have got Squirrel Squad T-shirts, and that's it.
So my group is cooler than your group. That's your
Yeah,
campaign
that's my
slogan.
stance. I'm cooler than him with the cool kids.
Well,
Donnie
let
can't
me-
drive. Donnie can't drive in the fucking left lane. He's a right lane legend. He's not a left lane legend. And that's it. He can't keep up with the cool kids.
Sean, as his
Well-
campaign manager, how do you feel about that?
Well, that's my whole point. I'm getting ready to bring this up.
Oh God.
They only have 2 videos out. 2. One of one cat jab slapping another cat.
Yeah, that was good.
In 24 hours, Team Independent, working under Loman Nation, has brought out 5.
And you know what? That's fine, Sean. But let's run the stats. Squirrel Squad got $245 worth of donations last night. Donnie Loman got 120.
Okay, that's
That's
a
what I
respectable
thought.
amount.
Yeah.
It's still a respectable amount.
But it goes
You
on
do-
how much your campaign earns. My campaign is earned way more than Donnie's has right now.
Okay, I refer back to Jesse the Body Ventura. Nobody expected him to be mayor of South St. Paul. Surprise!
Well, I'm just
Uh,
saying, money
I'm
talks,
just-
Donnie Loman walks.
And I'm telling you right now, come Friday, we'll see who's talking.
This is
Why?
not
Because-
like WWE.
can't-
I'm waiting for
I-
the ding ding ding.
I can't get fully involved in it as I would like to, although I will say this much: as being Donnie's campaign manager, it has been fun and exciting.
Oh, Lord. I don't know
It
why
really
you
has.
listen to that Smurf head.
No, I didn't. It's
Listen.
not this. Listen to me. Listen to me a minute. Because of working under Loman Nation with Team Independent, I have actually got a little bit better at making promos. I've actually figured out how CapCut works under some degree. And if you would
See?
take a look at the one with the blue bear, you would find out you totally got embarrassed.
What blue bear? I don't even know why. I don't even need a TikTok to make me look better than Donnie. I just speak and I'm better than Donnie. I don't need a bunch of TikToks to say that I'm better than Donnie Loman.
No,
You
she
do realize
uses
you're
an
being
image of a rubber
recorded.
duck. She uses
You
an image
do-
of a rubber duck flipping people off.
That's Trump. You didn't see my duck? Look, it's a Trump duck.
Oh, okay, I get it. Okay, well,
Yeah,
no, I
you
wasn't
get
picking
it?
it up, but now I get
You
it now.
You do realize you're being recorded, correct?
It's a cool Trump duck.
It is.
Okay.
It is. I
You
never
do
thought
realize
of Trump as a
Loman-
duck, but
You do realize Loman's going to go back and listen to all this.
I don't care what Loman does. Loman is my opponent.
Okay.
And if Donnie has talked enough smack about me, like the TikTok he made with the turkey, so, it is a smear campaign with Donnie. That's all it is. It's a smear campaign.
Well, again, I'm only contracted to do what I was meant to do under Loman Nation. By the way, I'm not working for a Tumblr. And Donnie Loman informed me to tell you it's none of your damn business what he's paying me.
It's campaign bribery. That's what he's doing.
And
He's
again, it's none of your
bribing
damn.
people. He's
It's none
bribing
of your
people
damn
with
business.
shit
What? It's none of
to
your
get their
damn business. What
votes.
he? It's none of your damn. I can't vote in this. I'm part of the crew. Remember? The best I could do is throw out a few dollars.
No,
What
I'm
I
just
want to
saying.
know, what I want to know is just how strong is the coffee Allie's drinking to put up with this bullshit.
I don't know. Allie Squirrel Squad.
She's Squirrel Squad.
Yep.
Uh-oh. Sean, you think you got a chance?
I think Allie fell asleep. Did you fall asleep there, Allie?
That's why she muted herself out so we don't have to hear the snoring.
That's why I have to hear her snoring.
I said that to her at the beginning. I said, well, if you fall asleep, don't let us hear you snoring.
So
She must
in
be
closing,
tired.
in closing argument, do you have anything else, Lisa?
I don't, because I'm being recorded and I will not incriminate myself with
After I
Joe
reminded you.
Dirte right now. And I would have incriminated myself if Joe Dirte wouldn't have said, you're being recorded. Well, now I'm zip-tie lipped.
Okay. So, I mean, with that being said and done, any final words or thoughts before August 8th or August 9th?
Loman Nation sucks. They sucked
Okay.
yesterday, they sucked the day before, they sucked today, and they'll suck tomorrow.
Okay, and there you heard it from Lisa Schroeder herself, folks.
How much will they suck a year from now?
They'll suck even more a year from now.
So, John, do we have anything else tonight?
Oh, geez, wasn't there? Oh no, you made the announcement on the darn it, the ELDs being taken off the approval
I got
list.
I got one over here sleeping, and the other one's becoming a maniacal windbag.
Excuse
a maniacal
me.
windbag. I hear the wind does blow pretty hard out there in Nebraska.
Excuse me, Joe Dirte. Watch your mouth.
You only wished you had hair like mine.
Whatever.
So don't forget, next Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, you can catch John and Bad Billy on the Patriot Confederation. Wednesday night, he'll be back on with Todd and Chris on the Common Sense Conservative. Oh, and before you start making fun of me, Lisa,
Yes.
next week, I'm bringing your favorite guest.
I know. I do love him when he comes on.
Brent Hoover from the Indiana State Police will be on.
Yes. I'm going to have to talk to him about how Kentucky sucks.
So don't forget, though, we'll be back next Thursday. John, that's all I got.
All right, Kentucky sucks, huh?
Yeah. Now listen.
Kentucky Woman. I mean, wasn't it a good song? I mean, what's going on here?
Listen, before you go, I just want to say that
You said enough.
even though you don't run any miles in Kentucky, you still have to file. And I had to do 22 Kentucky filings today with 0 miles on them to get caught up on Kentucky, even though I haven't ran there since 2017.
Uh-huh. Little behind, were we?
Well, I didn't think you had to if it was 0. Why would you have to file something if you ran 0 miles in it?
What are you talking about?
The KY number, Kentucky IFTA.
Yeah. No, if you got the permit to run it, you got to file it, right? It's like any other government form. Just file it as non-applicable or something. But
I had to file. No, I had to file all of them with 0 miles, 0 miles, 0 miles, 0 miles, just so I can get our KY number reinstated today.
Did they charge you any fees, late fees, or anything?
No, honestly, I'm surprised. I thought I was gonna have to pay a $500 reinstatement fee, but I didn't get charged it. So I don't know what happened. Either they screwed up, but I'm not gonna say anything because I didn't have to pay it.
There you go. Leave it alone. If it's good for you, leave it alone.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't go kicking up no dust for no reason.
Let's cut this so I can get to the motel.
All right, Sean's being the impatient one now, ladies
Oh
and gentlemen.
God, go! He wants to go take a nap.
Well, he probably does. He's been running pretty hard. You know, he's tired. He's getting old. So,
I know he is.
ladies and gentlemen, that's our bit for tonight. We hope you got something out of it. Keep the greasy side down, the shiny side up, in between the lines, and safe travels wherever you may be going. And as always, be good. If you can't be good, well, be good at it. And we gone.